deep, deep beneath our feet, there are these incredible energy resources. But, you know, getting to them isn't simple. It requires a kind of secret language, a set of special maps that engineers use to navigate a world of just insane pressure and temperature. And today, we're going to decode those maps.
All right, so let's get right into it. When you think of an oil and gas reservoir, what comes to mind? Probably a big underground lake of crude oil, right? Or maybe a huge bubble of natural gas just waiting there. Well, the reality is way more complex and a whole lot more volatile.
You have to remember, we're talking about thousands of feet below the surface. Down there, it's this superheated, highly pressurized cocktail of hydrocarbons. And the slightest little change in conditions can make this fluid flash from a liquid into a gas or the other way around. Predicting that is everything. Because getting it wrong, that's not just a small mistake. It can be a billion-dollar disaster.
So, how in the world do engineers navigate this invisible high-stakes world? Well, they don't go in blind. They use a very special kind of map that basically acts as their guide to the underground. And this is it, the pressure-temperature diagram, or just PT diagram for short. For any mix of hydrocarbons you can think of, this one chart tells engineers exactly how it's going to behave under any combination of pressure and temperature. It's basically their crystal ball for what's happening miles beneath their feet.
Now, the most important thing on this map is this big dome shape, and it's called the phase envelope. Think of it like this. Inside this dome, liquid and gas are mixed together. Outside of it, over here on the left where it's colder, it's all liquid, and over on the right where it's hotter, it's all gas. Knowing exactly where your reservoir sits on this map is absolutely 100% critical.
Okay, so let's break down the boundaries of that dome. The left side is what we call the bubble point curve. Just imagine you've got a liquid, and you start to lower the pressure. The very second you touch this line, poof, the first bubble of gas appears. It's exactly like opening a can of soda.
And the right side? It's the mirror opposite. That's the dew point curve. So if you start with a gas, and you begin to increase the pressure, or maybe lower the temperature, the moment you hit this line, the first tiny little droplet of liquid, or dew, condenses out of the gas.
And right at the very top of the dome, where these two curves meet, you get the critical point. And this is a truly weird state of matter. At this one precise pressure and temperature, the liquid and gas phases become totally identical. You literally cannot tell them apart. It's not a liquid, it's not a gas, it's this single, bizarre fluid.
So here's the big takeaway. This one spot on the map, that critical point, gives us our first huge rule for telling reservoirs apart. It's actually pretty simple. If the reservoir's temperature is cooler than that critical temperature, we call it an oil reservoir. If it's hotter, guess what? It's a gas reservoir. That one point tells you the most fundamental thing you need to know.
Okay, so now let's actually put this map into action. We'll start with the world of oil reservoirs, and we're going to follow their journey on this diagram as they get produced from deep underground.
Right, here's the map for a typical black oil. You see, production starts way up here at a really high pressure, safely in the liquid phase. But as you pump the oil out, the pressure in the reservoir starts to drop. You can see that journey as a vertical line, moving straight down. Now watch what happens as it crosses that bubble point curve. Yep, gas starts to bubble right out of the liquid while it's still in the reservoir.
And this shows you the real-world result of that journey on the map. As all that dissolved gas escapes, the liquid oil that's left behind literally shrinks in volume. So the map isn't just predicting some abstract phase change, it's predicting a physical change in how much product you're actually trying to get out of the ground.
Now what's really fascinating is how the shape of the map itself changes for different kinds of oil. So take a look at the diagram on the left. That's for a volatile oil. See how those lines inside the dome, we call them quality lines, are all bunched up near the top? That's a huge clue. It tells us that even a tiny drop in pressure is going to cause a massive amount of gas to bubble out, which means huge liquid shrinkage. And the one on the right, a near-critical oil, even more extreme. It can lose half its volume almost instantly. And all these different map shapes and journeys connect directly to things we can actually see and measure at the surface. That low-shrinkage oil, it's dark, almost black, and produces very little gas. A volatile oil, on the other hand, is much lighter in color and can produce thousands of cubic feet of gas for every single barrel of oil. See? The map tells the whole story. So now, let's jump over to the other side of that critical point, into the world of gas reservoirs. And this is where the physics starts to get really, really strange. Honestly, it's a bit backward. Think about this for a second.
Normally, if you lower the pressure on a gas, it just expands, right? But what if I told you there are reservoirs out there where lowering the pressure actually causes a liquid to condense and rain out from the gas? It sounds totally impossible, but it is a very real and very important phenomenon.
This completely bizarre behavior is called retrograde condensation, and the secret to it is hiding right here on the map. You see, it only happens in reservoirs where the temperature sits in a very specific window, hotter than the critical point, but cooler than the absolute hottest point of the phase envelope, a spot we call the cricodentherm. Let's trace the journey.
Okay, so let's follow the path. We start up here at point 1, it's all gas. As the reservoir pressure drops, the path goes down and into the two-phase envelope, crossing the dew point line. This is the retrograde part, the backward part. Decreasing the pressure is actually causing valuable liquids to condense. And if the pressure keeps on dropping, it eventually comes out the other side of the envelope and that liquid turns back into a gas. Wild, right?
And we're not talking about a small effect here. Up to 19% of the entire reservoir's pore volume can fill up with this condensed liquid. The huge problem is this liquid often doesn't move. It gets stuck to the rock and you can't produce it. It's like having a huge chunk of your most valuable product getting permanently trapped underground, a total loss. So after seeing all of these super complex behaviors, it becomes really clear why mastering this map is so essential for the energy industry. I mean, this isn't just some academic exercise. This is all about economics. Look, knowing the fluids map is literally the difference between making a profit and losing your shirt. It lets engineers design super precise production strategies. For example, to deal with that retrograde problem, they might inject gas back into the reservoir to keep the pressure high and stop that precious liquid from getting trapped. It tells you what kind of equipment you need at the surface and helps you avoid billion-dollar mistakes. At the end of the day, this map decides if a reservoir is even worth developing in the first place.
And you know, the PT diagram isn't the only map in the engineer's toolbox. This right here is a ternary diagram. Instead of charting pressure and temperature, it maps fluids based on their chemical makeup, the mix of light, medium, and heavy molecules. It's just another layer of this secret language, reminding us that what the fluid is made of fundamentally determines how it's going to behave.
You know, the secret language of these phase diagrams was absolutely fundamental to unlocking the energy that powered the entire 20th century. But as we face completely new energy challenges, things like storing captured carbon dioxide deep underground or figuring out how to manage liquid hydrogen, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What new maps, what new secret languages are we going to need to invent to navigate the incredibly complex energy landscape of tomorrow?